Hey, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Mom's World Speaks. Thank you for coming and joining us for another edition. Today here at Mr. Mom's World and every show, we talk about food, family, fun, friends, fur, four-legged, two-legged, and not necessarily in that order. Today's guest is multi-talented. Originally a social worker, which of course this family loves social workers in all degree because we have worked with so many over the years. But Jan Rankin is my guest, and she is the founder, if you will, correct me when I'm wrong, Jan, of the For the Love of Art. And we're going to talk lots of stuff art. Welcome to my show.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you. So listen, let's talk about COVID for a brief moment, as sucky as that is. How have you been working or struggling with COVID, not only in a personal sense, but of course from an artiste point of view?
Well, personally, I didn't feel like a huge hiccup because I guess I work from home in general, both in my regular business and in my art world. So like my studio is here, everything. So I was able to sort of just stay kind of contained. The bigger problem, of course, was you have art, but nowhere to put it.
Right.
Out in the big world. That's been the biggest thing. But just doing everything you can to stay safe and to keep everybody around you as well.
Yeah. So again, what does that look like as far as selling your stuff? You said that there's no place to sell it. But have you switched and done more things online? Have you?
Sorry, there's a weird little delay happening. Sorry.
There is, yeah.
As far as, yes. So for myself, I'm really a bit fortunate. I have worked really hard in a short time to make sure I have alternate venues. And that sort of falls into the whole For the Love of Art for many, many, many artists and why For the Love of Art was created in the first place. So many artists, unless they have a brick and mortar place to sell their art or they have a really strong online presence, they're going to be sort of without markets, shows, fairs, all that kind of stuff, right? The traditional place where many people find artwork or, fine craft, that kind of thing.
Right. So the Love of Art was due to have its show this month, I believe, correct?
This coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And of course,
I was just going to say, and we've been a part of that show, not from an artist's point of view. Well, a food artist, I guess, in a sense. Yep. But again, it was an amazing show. What have you heard from your other artists? Disappointed? Have they shifted gears? Have they went and sought somewhere else?
Well, that's a really I'll back right up. Back when COVID first sort of started to emerge and we started seeing the province making decisions to have to shut down or make alternative decisions. There was a long period of time where I had to sort of wait it out to see where would we be at this point in the year, mostly because we didn't know in April what July would look like, what August would look like, what September would look like. And when we got to August, to be honest, it was kind of like, well, what's November going to look like? Do we risk kind of going forward and hope that something will happen? Or do we just say, you know what, it's all that work, all that time, energy, money, all that investment, there's that chance of having the pin pulled.
Right
At that. So So one of the things I did is I went back to the artists who are part of For the Love of Art. Of many of them now would have been coming into their fourth year with me. Some were new, and saying, so, hey, like, what do you think? Like, where does this fit for everybody? And not just about me, because the show was never about me. It was about a group of giving opportunity to artists who didn't have opportunity per se. And so I would say about a third of them were not willing to take the risk at all. Period. No how, no way. They were like, you know what, let's just wait next year. Let's see what happens in the future with all things healthy. Then there was a group of people who were like, well, is there any way we can wait and see? But I really don't want to keep working or put money into it, but I want to wait and see. So there was still about a third of the artists who were more than willing to sort of, if I had said, hey, here's this opportunity in October to still go forward in November, will you come along? And then there was the other group, and there's the other group who are like, hey, let's go.
Right.
Let's just give her, just see what happens. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I have to really think about this, because I'm the one who was doing a lot of the work and putting a lot of my own money up front first. And to have to pull away from all of that at the last minute. And as it turned out, I don't know if you know this, but Harris Farm, which is the facility that I love having the For the Love of Art event there, just the ambience, the lighting, the whole atmosphere. It's so magical. And it is now a flu clinic. So there's no way we could have had it anyways.
Right. So the Love of Art show, is it continuing online? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, it'd be great to have an online gallery of those same artists.
That would have been a really great idea. I could not pull that together. I have a lot of competing interests for my time. Sure. And it is something I wanted to look at, and I still don't see it as being undoable. It's probably something, if I could sit down and I probably would need some help from somebody to kind of pull that together and assist many. I could still assist many artists, right? The whole idea was to give the art's a funny thing too. A lot of people really want to see it in real life. Yep, right. Totally. Yep. It's an expensive thing to purchase without having a real good sense of what are you buying. So in that way it's kind of tricky, but I do know there's lots of online platforms, and many of those platforms offer buyers like 7 to 10 day returns. You know, you don't like it, send it back. And it's kind of a big beast, and I don't know, I would have to really think about that. And most of the artists, I think, have some of their own online presence as well.
For sure. So if I wanted to see possibly, because here's what I'm thinking that after this show, if you're willing, we get a list of those artists and we put that list on our show as a tailspin. And then that way, if people want to look at their art, they're more than welcome to. But also, our other event, Mr. Mom's World Catering, we have a shop site. So, we invite you guys to put your art on there, and I don't know how many we're going to get, but that's an avenue for you guys. Because at the end of the day, and here's what I want to say about that art show. Our first year was last year, and we had a blast. And what we experienced walking around was not only amazing art, but amazing people that were attached to the art.
Yes.
And for those who we all know someone who is an artist of some type. It's rare that you get a bunch of people, because I don't know how many there were there, Jan, in a room, all doing various mediums of art, and they were all lovely. I don't know what other word to use. They were very lovely people to be around, and the ambience, as you pointed out, in that building only enhanced that piece of it. So kudos to you for putting that together. But those people, how did you gather them?
Every year I have what's called a call to artists. So it's a call for submissions. The artists were all then had to provide me, there's a form that everyone had to fill out, what kind of work they did or do. They provided samples of all of that work. Most of them engaged as well in a short email with me. So you sort of get a sense of who these people are, what they're looking for. So it's kind of juried,
right,
but very gently juried. And it's juried on, like, I was looking for a variety of different kinds of artwork. So we're not like, looking at all painters or all potters. That
right.
wasn't the intention. The intention was to have a very well represented of different kinds of art, including food, including music.
Right.
We had musical artists, right? We always, and we searched really hard to find a fundraiser that we could get behind that was local in the community. But as far as finding the artists, there's a little bit of selling themselves in showing their work, who they are and what they wanted to bring to the table. Yep. So not everybody, to be honest, one of the criteria is everybody that was there, I would pick people who were from South Delta first.
Right.
So we're looking for that local representation between Ladner and Tsawwassen, which is South Delta. Sure. And then after that, when I couldn't find proper fits, or if there was a gap in say, for example, just if I didn't have a good jeweler or something, then I would look outside to further out of the community for that. So basically, so 30 got picked. Sometimes, like last year, I had 400 people apply and 30 get in.
Right.
So it's hard because there's some really amazing talent you're actually saying no to.
Right.
But there's only so much space. Part of for the love of art that was really important. I always like to consider it to be the event itself is casual elegance. So as you go in, and everybody had their black tablecloths, and they have all to the floor. There's no boxes showing and stuff like that. Everybody's got it really well put together. They all each have adequate space. So they have, like a 10 by 10 space. So there's lots of space for everyone to move around. Nothing's crowded, nothing's cluttered. We have lots of volunteers behind the scenes who are helping, helping, whether it's helping the artists set up and take down, but they're also helping people who come through the event to, get to the elevator or to find a seat, or are they looking for somebody? We had every year we had a scavenger hunt of some kind. We had big drawing tables upstairs for people who were visitors to either scribble or draw or sign their name or whatever, provide us feedback. We had door prizes, and it's an event. It's not just it's not just come in, see the art, but it's come in and have something to eat, listen to some music, talk to some great artists, get to know people in your community who work and live here and create here. The fundraisers are local agencies. So you're getting to know a little bit more about what other people do in your community, that kind of thing. So all of those pieces were really, really important. And they're inside this great facility.
Right, exactly. So let's talk quickly about your fundraisers. Now, number one, do they change every year? Is that the intent for you? You don't have one specific charity?
No. No, what I do is I'll go to the community Facebook pages here in South Delta, so Ladner and Tsawwassen, and I'll ask people if they have a fundraiser, or is there somebody out there who could benefit from having this opportunity for the fundraiser.
Yeah, and
so
I know this speaks to you.
Go ahead.
And this speaks to you and your heart, because I know when you discussed with me our rent, if you will, for the table rent for being there, you said, listen, just make a donation to the charity. And so that speaks a lot to you as a person, but also to the fact that this, like you say, is such a well-rounded event, and it is an event. The other piece I wanted to add on to that was you spoke about what the volunteers did. I saw many volunteers hauling out art for people and hauling out something for people to their cars. And again, it speaks to the type of people that are actually a part and body of this show.
Yeah, we really appreciate. We went to the high schools and we said, the grade 12s have a volunteer component. So if they want to come and do it here, we're willing to, they can come and help us out, sign off. And even some of our artists, like, some of them were a bit older or had other mobility issues. And so the volunteers were there to help them with that. They're also there to help people come in the door, and help, and give people information on what's in the event, how to find certain things, how to find the washrooms and the elevators, just so, people aren't kind of scrambling with that. We were very, very lucky. Had other members of the community step up to the plate and to say, yeah, I'd love to, because I want to be there and be part of it. And volunteering is a great way because you're there for the whole day. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just while we're on that, and because again, I really do value this show, not because of course we made money, which is always great, but Mr. Mom's World is prepared to give you a $500 gift certificate for next year, for when we get up and running, to ticket off, to raffle off, whatever that is, to raise money for your charity, and to hopefully continue to draw in such a great crowd. Do you guys change your artists every year?
There is I'm going to be really honest. Yeah. There is a core group of artists who have been with me and took the chance with me from day one. So there's about a dozen that who stood up and went when it looked like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this?
Right.
And yeah.
So are you?
There's always, I
so
am.
Are totally you crazy?
I'm totally crazy.
Right.
And I think you have to be a little bit.
Right.
Might as well be. And they took the chance. They bought their tables. They were willing to sort of, it's not that I have some rules, but I guess I kind of do have some fairly, I want it to look a certain way, because that adds just to the whole kind of event. So I have some expectations, and they were there right from the beginning. They said, yep, well, that's what we want to do. We want to see this. We don't want to be just, we're not interested in being a market. We're interested in being an art show.
Right.
And which is a kind of a different thing. It's a little elevated. And so, they stood up there. They took that chance. They said, we're going to sell art. And I said, awesome. And so I really honor those people if they reapply every year, because I think, you know what, they were there in the beginning.
Right.
So
do
I have
they
a
take
sense
part
of loyalty.
Do they take part in the actual running of it?
No.
So that's kind of just left to you and your small group. I know your husband was there, is why I say your small group. I know he was there helping you out every inch of the way.
My husband was out from beginning to end on the weekend of. My stepson is a huge assistant, kind of great big strapping kid, and he's hauling stuff around. And are you still with me?
I am still with you.
There you are. And my sister also helps out. My niece, who was 8, she was there handing out door prize tickets, and those are just family. Those are wonderful. And then, of course, like I said, there's a huge bunch of other volunteers too.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
And I mean, most of the volunteers, we try to make sure like the show is really all about me, and I do have some help to kind of just follow where I point and shoot kind of thing.
Right.
And but I try to make sure everyone gets fed while they're there. That's I have an account with yourself as a food provider to make sure that the artists get some breakfast, make sure they've got coffee and something to eat, so that, because they're running around all day, and I don't want them to pass out from sugar failure,
because they forget, right?
And then what's that?
They forget to eat.
Pardon me?
They forget to eat because they're so busy.
They do, and they just get really busy.
Yeah.
And we did have a couple of food runners as well, because the artists get into their space and they can't get out. So the volunteers would go in and hold their booth while they went run off to the bathroom and get something to eat or whatever, or ran food back over, grab coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's about making it as successful and seamless and painless and wonderful, because my goal is really to have the artist be successful.
Right.
It's really about the artist having an opportunity to show their work, to maybe sell something, to get known by the community. It's all about the artist for me.
Right. So going ahead, what's the plan for next year?
Well, we have, the city's allowed us to book the space again for, it's always the first weekend in November, the first full weekend. So whatever the date is next year, I'm sorry, I don't have it offhand.
Yeah, no worries.
So I think it'll be, I think it's the 9th and 10th or something next year. Can't be the 10th. It can't be the Remembrance Day.
Right.
It can't be. So we'll do something around that. The other thing that's been really important around For the Love of Art, it was always, we ensured that in all of our marketing and our advertising, that we included all the other art events that were going on in the community at the same time. So whenever we were, whenever The Optimist did an interview or like a piece on it, whenever we did all of our social media marketing, we included, you know, there's a couple of woodworking guys that have an event out of their home. There's Sacred Heart, there was the Potters, their Guild, the Rock Hounds. So we made sure we included everybody in all of our marketing so that everybody would be part of almost like an art tour in South Delta and benefit. We could all benefit from each other, right? So that way the consumers out there, or, you know, and they're out there and they want to visit as events as possible, and it helps them to know where everything is. And one of the things I think, you know, one of the things I appreciated about For the Love of Art was we could provided enough where we could keep people and give them a place to rest a bit while they spent their time with us. So
yeah, and there was a lovely little I don't know, let's call it a cafe you had set up where people could sit down, and there was that. Now I know what kind of besides actually shopping with grandma and grandpa and mom and dad, what kind of an area did you have set aside for the kids that came?
Well, upstairs, along the railing, you'd come off the elevator upstairs. There was 2 very long tables where the kids we had all just reams and reams of rolled paper and markers and things like that, and they could all draw, color, whatever. The other thing I think that was just good for the kids is we had what was called a scavenger hunt. And so every booth had some kind of little like an animal or a doll or something, and the artists would hide them away somewhere in their booth. And then there was a little like a little cheat sheet where people just had to write down the table number where they saw it, and most of the parents gave it to the kids to keep them sort of like, you know, occupied. Hide and seek or whatever, finding occupied. Yes. So, you know, and of course we had the music was right down in front of the cafe as well. So last year we had Russell and Raven, fantastic musicians, come in and played for 2 whole days in front of you guys there. Yeah. So
well, his name was Russell. He had to be good.
Yes, Russell Marsland and Raven Blackwell. Yes, they
were awesome.
Were fabulous entertainers.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate, and we also had, you know, last year, and I mean, last year we had Richard Broger up in the corner too. You know, hockey Hall of Famer here, for Vancouver goalie for years, who's also now an artist. So he was quite the draw for some of the kids because he painted kids skating and playing hockey.
Right. Yeah. So the intent, as it is today, because we don't know what next year is going to bring for any of us, but the intent is to move forward with the show again in November. Yes. Now, where can people go right today when we say, check out Love of Art? Do you have a website?
I do. It's For the Love of Art in South Delta. For the Love of Art. Yeah. For the Love of Art in South Delta. They'll find it and it'll come back. And they should be able to see this lovely sign. This is the sort of the landing page. And on that page, or on the website, are all the artists for the last 3 events, as well as so a profile of each of the artists. Some of their work is there, links to all of their websites. So that's the easiest way.
What just quickly, what are some of the mediums that are at the show, or in particular the last show that we saw?
Okay, so I'm going to walk you around the room because that's how my brain works, physically around the room.
Sure. Yeah.
So we had a gentleman there who worked in recycled and reclaimed metal work, bits and pieces. So he would take found a metal and recreate them into beautiful sculptures, motorcycles, and insects and birds and stuff. So really, really fascinating pieces there. We had people who worked in pottery and porcelain clay. We have people, of course, we have painters. We have several jewelers. We had another metal sculptor down at the other end. We had people who worked in glass. Glass as in fused glass and in blown glass. We had artists who worked in silk, artists who worked in stone. We had a huge representation. Chocolate. We have Lawrence from Ladner with his chocolate creations.
Right.
Yes. We have people who work in fiber art, who created pulled fiber works and made these wonderful animals. And we had quite a good representation, I think, of different art mediums.
Awesome. Last question. And I have a very distinct opinion, and I have several friends who are artists, so there is no wrong answer. If I am, say, cash-strapped, let's say that I am, a single mom, and I'm working at Walmart to keep my kids alive, and I buy a picture that is at, say, Boutique Village or Value Village. And Value Village. And I put it on my wall. As that person, is that art?
I think if someone appreciates anything at all and it brings them some kind of joy or adds their sense of beauty to their space, it's their art.
God bless you. That's my thing, kids' handprints on the fridge and kids' popsicle thing. To me, that's where art starts. And that's, it's all in the eye of the beholder, so to speak, right? So
absolutely. I am really blessed around here. I have lots of little kid art. Like little kids across the street. Last summer I took over a bowl of blueberries to them, and they sent me back I'm pretty sure it was a bingo dauber, but all these blueberries on this card, and it's all drawn. And I treasure that kind of stuff. It's on my fridge, and it will probably stay there. Right. I have lots of that, and I think I started off as an early childhood educator, and so I have lots of kids stuff, my own kids stuff. I don't know. You know what? I think if it's in your heart and that's what works for you at this time, and I mean, I don't know. If it's beautifying your space and it makes you feel good.
God bless you. Jan Rankin, thank you so much for joining me today. I always love when we get an opportunity to chat. I am so, I want to say sad, but I am sad that the show isn't going on, but I'm glad that we get to talk, and I'm so looking forward to next year. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to our next visit.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And we will go next year, I'm sure.
Oh, awesome. Okay, talk to you later.
Cheers.
Bye.